So, Claude Opus 4.5, have you noticed the difference? Because I have been building a plugin and something went so smoothly that I was questioning what happened? The model appeared, the new model switched, and it started predicting everything I would request from it even before I put it in. So let's have a look at how easy it is now to build WordPress plugins with Claude Opus 4.5. When I'm starting to do a plugin, I'm starting to research the best practices that already exist on the market. I'm asking Claude to research what other plugins exist, what can I do better, what does this program do, what does this tool do, so I can take the best out of all of them and build something that will be in demand on the market. So I study what recommendation it gives me and choose one that I think is most suitable for me. In this very case, it's going to be AI Auto Poster, the tool, the plugin that will rewrite an existing post from your website through WordPress into the social media posts for different social media, as you can see here, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and the scripts for YouTube Shorts and TikTok videos. So I started with building the file structure. I always ask for the file structure first, and I will follow it and check that everything I save or everything that the Claude codes is going to be saved exactly in this structure. And it has already started writing the files for me, at least the main ones. Honestly, these files on their own create already a solid plugin. This is where my first surprise came through. I didn't ask you to build it yet, but it already did. Moreover, it thought through the structure and the functionality on its own without me explaining what is it specifically I want, which I had to do before. Now with Opus 4.5, I didn't have to do that. So from here on, I started to save files manually. I create all the folders exactly the way it was shown in the file structure. Make sure all the names are the same. It takes a while to create it manually. For most of the time, apparently, you don't need to create it manually. You will have AI compress it for you. Here I'm using Notepad. I'm copying the file, putting it in Notepad, and saving the file under the exact same name that Claude gave me in the exact same folder. Make sure you keep everything very strictly. Another relatively new feature here in Claude is the project, where you can upload all the files, so you don't have to upload them into the chat and therefore take the space from the chat and then hit the limit. There are two options that Claude actually solved this problem. First of all, this project folder with my files uploaded here. Second of all, there is now a function that shortens your chat when it is about to hit the limit, so you can continue a conversation in the same chat. That's a very nice addition. There is, however, a very big downside to the project folder. I will show it later, so be careful with it. I'm asking here to improve my files. I have already made a similar tool before with best practices, so I'm giving this tool as an example and asking to take the best from it and implement it into the plugin folder. So it ended up creating more files, each file for different platform, and then updating all the main plugin files. And you see what I'm doing here? I am copying the files as it is writing, because sometimes the errors happened and I don't trust the Claude to actually keep these files, especially in the project folder. Apparently, it doesn't really update the files in the project folder. It only writes the new ones to you in the chat, but if you get back to the project and create a new chat, all the updates you've made will be lost. That's why here I'm going even a step ahead and copying them as they go, because really sometimes I don't trust Claude to bring the updated file. It's just my paranoia. Most of the time it will, especially in the Opus 4.5, it totally will bring you the correct files. It will compress them for you. It will give you a download button. So everything is pretty much clear here. But because while working on this plugin, I didn't actually pay attention that I'm switched to Opus 4.5, I was extremely careful about this and I saved the files manually, which you will lately see I didn't really need to do. I have updated them all myself, and at the end it gave me the compressed folder too. So when I start the new chat, here's where I notice by the sentence that it doesn't have all the platforms in the folder. I see that, yeah, it still didn't update the project. I faced this problem before, so I know that, right, I need to re-upload the files, so create new project or just do it somewhere on the side. So in this case, I am uploading the compressed folder of the updated plugin because I honestly cannot work in the project anymore. And it's about the same if I upload compressed file or if I upload separate files in the project. Honestly, it doesn't make much difference. And this one is faster. So obviously, I'm just giving it a zip file and Claude can unzip it and read through the files there. So, and here is when I face this situation, I'm asking about API key, how it's handled, what kind of AIs can be using. And here's what I see. This is the part that I usually do manually. Like I have to choose on my own and explain what kinds of AI I want to use, that I want to use several and switch between them. What kind of models are you going to use is a good way to mention too, because Claude will know their own APIs and will not know the latest models of Gemini or OpenAI most of the time. So you can either ask it to research what models are in use right now, or you can give it yourself if you know that. But usually double check which models it's using. For example, here, after I'm testing the file, I notice it used Gemini 1.5 Flash, which is already an old model and it doesn't really work. To my surprise, it already implemented the system with all the three main OpenAI, Gemini, and Anthropic. Honestly, I tested OpenAI and Gemini, and Anthropic I didn't because it seems like it requires a specific API key, and whichever I was using just didn't work. Maybe because I didn't set up a separate billing for API key in Anthropic specifically. So after this one, I'm checking if there's anything else we should create in this plugin or anything else that needs improvement before I start testing this file. So, and as you see, it's just an additional files except for uninstall. Uninstall file we totally need, but the README, so basically the information about the plugin, index just for security, so the files are not stolen. The license file, which Claude will not create, by the way, you will need to go by the link it provides and actually get this file yourself. It actually fails to write it all the time. And a couple screenshots, which is recommended, but not necessary. So I'm asking it to write me a README file and an uninstall file because it's important. And while it's doing so, I'm starting to create index files because I'm trying to be efficient here. But as you can see later, even though I specifically asked Claude to only do the first two, it decided to do number 3 too and created this index files for me. I will tell you that the intelligence comes with creativity, and sometimes Claude doesn't follow your instructions specifically. It will choose something that it thinks is better. Be aware of that. That's why we double check and we test and we ask questions about everything it created. The questions I ask are a thing of experience, of course, because I already worked with this and I know how to create it. I know that I need to make sure about the file structure, right? About how the API calls, sometimes about the design. For example, I am asking it to create a limited Tailwind library to use within it because you're not supposed to use the big one in production. This is like 3 main things that I now ask to do. But as you could see, maybe except for the library, Opus 4.5 already created everything, or it might have if you asked it if we have everything for production ready. So after my absolutely useless job of creating index files manually, I now have a new archive with all the index file and README file, uninstalled PHP file created for me. So from this point on, the most complicated stage starts, and it's testing. So many times you'll have to test, copy the errors, and bring them back to Claude to correct. This is a necessary part of plugin development. You can most of the time not get around it without any errors from the start. So be careful about that. Test everything. I know it takes time, especially that you need to do this after every minor change. You still need to run quite a lot of things and check if it's working. So let's see what is my first issue here. So I'm uploading this file to WordPress, and it already looks pretty good. It has its own menu, its own settings, and the very first issue that I'm facing here is the API key is not checked. I already had different plugin made with API key where you can validate the key right there before you actually fail to generate something. And I'm clearly missing this validate API key situation here. Nonetheless, I'm going to go and check the functionality. Here it brings the recent posts, and I already see the potential problem in the first one because it has these characters that used to be a smile or an icon or whatever it was, and it might create the problem for the code. So it could, honestly, if our API key was working at all. So let's see. Okay, what's happening here is we don't even get the response back. We only get the HTML error. So I'll have to several times go back and forth and correct these errors. I will also need to ask for API key validation so I can check it right away. The process is like this. You pretty much just copy all the errors you see on the screen, and in the development tab, developer tab, you can open by pressing F12 if you have it on your keyboard, apparently, or you can go to settings, 3 dots on top, tools, more tools, developer tab. And the errors are usually seen here. Also, click this icon to see the error fully. The more information you give back to Claude, the easier it is for Claude to find your error and to correct it. The more information you give, believe me, because otherwise it's turning into an endless circle of going back and forth, and it's going to be even longer if you are unable to provide the errors back to Claude. Okay. And here's the time for trying an error that lasts for a while. Okay, finally, the API key is working and the tool is generating the pages the way I want it to. And here I see the first issue. I didn't really like how the results are shown. Plus, the copy button will copy all the 3 results here, which I don't need. So that's a design issue. And I'm going to provide, again, my other tools for Claude to get an example from. And it now creates a much better design for each one, except for the videos. The videos, I didn't expect it to look this way. I don't really understand what the second text overlay situation is supposed to be, so I have to bring it back to Claude yet again. And at some point, to have a better styling, the one I prefer, I was giving it a design from my other tool that had the videos with suggestion of the background of the video itself, the words, the script, and everything else all together. So now that the file is finally ready, I have now about 12 or honestly, probably 14 versions of this plugin, and the final one is the one that I am happy with. So let's go ahead and test it. All right, so we go to our plugins, add plugin, upload, and re-upload our latest file, which I already did. You just choose the file here, install now, and activate the plugin. What you should get here is this icon, specifically for my plugin. It is the plugin that is going to business style website, so it has its branding that I also asked Claude to create by just providing their logo and their website address and information. So it brings us posts. You see icons here is what I already tried to do, and it's very nice that it shows them, that some of the social media were already created for this post. And I also, as the last step of my improvements, I asked what else can be added to the plugin, what else can be improved, and is the plugin production ready? So the Claude evaluated the plugin as production ready. And one of the options it suggested to make is a history of previous generations, which I did add. And probably with one more error, yeah, with one more improvement of adding clear all history button, we finally get this version of the plugin that now has history and generation functionality. So let's go ahead and choose something. It is set now to ignore the weird characters here. Let's even test this. As long as we choose the post, we can choose what social media we're doing for. Let's go through all of them one by one. So the first one, Twitter, you can set up different options here. I don't really care right now, so let's generate it as it is, but I want it to be customizable so you get the best results here. All right, and here is our short post. We can copy it and post it right away. So the next one is going to be LinkedIn, pretty much. You can put additional angle here and specific instructions, but just for the testing, I'm not doing it because it's usually just the prompt. Let's go in there. All right, here's our test. I wonder if it copies content. Looks like it doesn't. Let's see. Okay, the copy functionality works together with the hashtags, so we are good here. Let's see the next one. Facebook. I want to choose the bigger one because I did test the middle one already. Let's say mini story and no emojis just for now. Medium call, target audience. I will not put it here for now. Okay, perfect. The copy functionality probably works because it's the same one. So I would expect it to. Okay, perfect. The next one, Instagram. Let's go. So for Instagram, there was an option of generating an image, but because customer is using their own API key and it had it all through the API than the generation within ChatGPT, for example, or just general Gemini, we decided to make it so that it creates a prompt, but doesn't create an image itself. So we still get the caption for Instagram post. We should have had the hashtags, which is 15 here. Okay, they're here at the bottom. So as far as I understand it, the hashtags will need to be copied manually here. That's a slight issue, but not too big. Okay, copy the prompt just to test it. All right, perfect. Not sure if they are any different. Let's compare. Nothing different at all. I would question why this button exists here. But it's some minor details that can be totally edited. I would ask for another copy button here and maybe remove a specification that doesn't do anything. Okay, let's go to the next one, the Pinterest. Okay, this is actually a fail, but I don't understand why, because we used to actually generate them. Let's see, idea pin, infographic list steps, generate prompt. Okay, so this is the error we have to return back to Claude and see. So let's here open the developer tab. Yeah, you can also press left, right click and inspect. Those are the different plugins that are doing that. So we see if it has any errors here, we copy the errors, bring it back to Claude and ask to correct it. So far I have an Instagram issue, right? Just a little bit, and the Pinterest issue of not generating anything, or perhaps not displaying it because it's more likely. Okay, the next one is YouTube Shorts. This is the one that I was working on the style of the results to have it in a specific way. Okay, so we have a title here, description, just a tip for you. And here is the style I wanted to see the script with. So we have on-screen, visual, and voiceover. There is also a music suggestion here, which isn't really specific, and the thumbnail idea. So everything you might need for the video is created right away. And as you press copy, you copy only the script. Okay, and the last one is TikTok video, very similar to it, just customizable here. And has the same visuals. Pretty much YouTube and TikTok Shorts work the same way. All right, so here's the almost final version of the plugin currently. Tell me, what do you think about it? Would you like to build something similar? What are the parts you usually struggle with? Is it the idea or creation or the testing part? Are you using any other AI tools except for Claude for coding? And which one is your favorite? Let us know. Honestly, at this point, you don't really have to know much. You just need to understand the basic idea of how you want it to work and be a little demanding as a user. Like, you want it to look pretty, you want it to work functional, you want to question the additional buttons like here or design, and whatever you want it to do, you bring it back and ask for it. It's pretty much very simple. I hope this video was useful for you, and if it was, press the like button, consider subscribing for us, or going to join our AI Profit Scoop that has more educational videos on different AI tools, as well as prompts and AI tools for content creation within the membership area. And I'll see you in the next video.